Okay, I'm back. Got everything nice and dry and cool to the touch. So I am going to go ahead and add in some more darks on this one now that it's dry. It's not going to blossom on me, which is a good thing. Just going to darken or dampen, I should say, the area. And I want to add this dark tool. And I think I'm going to do it on this one too. I don't know if my brush has got fuzz on it or what. It could. Now when you're just doing a portion of your grape, just make sure that you go beyond the area with the water so that it has a place to blend into. Okay, so I'm going to pick up the shadow color. Let that one set for a minute. I'm going to come over and add it over here. Just want to see how much it's actually going to move, if at all, with the amount of water I have on there. Not too much. So I'm going to soften this edge with just water. A damp brush, basically. This is the same thing that you would do with wet on dry. Just a damp brush and soften your edge. Okay, so I got that side on both. Let me flip it around this way. See how I have just the tip of my brush in that paint, and the rest of my brush is laying flat, applying water. And what that water does, and it's very little water, it's just a damp brush, but what it does is it adds enough water for the paint to run into, just as if it had been a wet on wet technique. Okay, so I'm going to turn this around so I can look at it straight on. And I think this one is a bit too much, so I'm just going to take my damp brush and soften it in a little bit better until I get the value and the outside line of design the way I want it. Move your paint to where you want it to go. If it's not right exactly where you wanted that paint or value to be, you're in control of it. You move it. And that's what I'm doing here, is I'm just making sure that I've got that shadow. There's another piece of dust in there. There we go. Right where I want it. I think that's better on both of them. I like that darker value. This one didn't have enough of a value change in it. This one did because it had a lot more dark in it, but I like it better. All right. I'm gonna just soften this one in a little bit better too. And even though it's been dried, you can still, as long as it hasn't been like 24 hours and it's not bone dry, just take that damp brush and move that paint to where you want it to go. All right, I like that lots better. And once we got our masking off of there, it's going to be really lovely because you're going to have that nice bright highlight on there. Okay, so let's see. I guess this grape is going to be the best that we can do. The problem with when you got a bunch of things like this is they all touch each other, but this one should be pretty good. We should be able to do that one. It is a darker value. It's more of a mid value, where these are your darkest. Actually, we could do this one too. Let's go ahead and do that dark one. Those are fun to do. I keep putting my water brush down someplace and I can never find it. Just got my regular brush in my hand. I didn't hear it drop, but I don't see it. I don't know what I did with it. I'll grab another one. I like to grab a different color brush because then I know which one is my water brush. Now this one's a number 6, so we'll use this one. Probably find that laying on the floor later. Picking up my water that has the blending and glazing medium in it. Now this comes all the way up to there, so you want to be sure and get that moist all the way up there. I love these long rounds by Princeton Velvet Touch. They got that nice tip on them. It's a longer bristle when it's long rounds like that. It's not a long handle, it's just a long bristle on the brush itself. Okay. Wondering where my brush went. Still looking for it. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to, and this is our darker value again. We're still going to start with the light value because you want a lighter value on there. Every item needs to have a light value to it. All right, having a fun day with all these little fuzzy things on my brushes. There we go. That's better. And making sure it gets to all the corners. Still on there, whatever it is. There we go. looks good. Now, since this is one of the very dark grapes, I'm going to pick up the real dark value. And as you can see, you've got a reflected light here, and that's what the masking fluid is doing, is keeping that reflective light. But it's real dark because this is causing a shadow and this is causing a shadow. So it's real dark there, but it's also real dark here because this is causing a shadow down there. So we got a lot of dark on this one. Need to add a little bit of water to that one. There we go. And now I don't want to outline with that dark, so we're going to make sure that we don't do that. I do want quite a bit of dark in here. Now I'm going to go straight golden ochre on my brush that has that darkest value on there. So I want to get these corners another value of dark. And down the center. Looks pretty good. We're going to let that dry, and then if we need to blend it out a little bit like we did with these ones, we will. Okay. Now we can go over and go ahead and do this one. I'm going to turn it this way so I can get at it easier, and of course I'm going to turn my reference material that way too. So we got the real dark value here. It's kind of a mid value tone to this grape. So I'm going to take my water brush, and this is kind of an elongated grape. It's not round like this one's round and this one's round. This one's not like that. Go right over your masking. I would normally, if this were a larger piece that we're painting, do 2 glazes of water for the first time that we're laying water or laying paint down on this paper. But this is such a small item that we're painting that I don't believe it needs the 2, and it really hasn't presented itself as being too dry. With just the 1 glaze, so I think we're good with that. All right, now this is our mid value, so we're going to start out with our lightest, as we always do in watercolors. I'm going to put that over the entire grape. And just so you're aware, I just wanted to make sure anybody that's doing the gray shadows, you always with gray and yellow want to do the shadows first, get them dry, and then put your yellow on top, or it's going to turn real green, way too much green, more green than you want it to be. So keep that in mind if you are doing the gray shadows. I I gave you that option, but I just wanted to make sure that you, whether you're doing petals, whatever, if you're doing a yellow leaf, for example, even, you always want to put the shadows in first. And then the yellow on top, so that the yellow doesn't turn green. All right, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to go to the first value of shading. We actually have 3. And some of that's going to come right up here, just the way the light's hitting it. So I'm going to put that in first. I am going to make sure it goes right to the edge of that grape. It even comes down like this. I'm going to go right to the corner too, just to make sure it all looks the same here. And then there's some dark down here. Now this one you can, because it's not going to be our final shadow, you can go right around that other grape with this value. It's usually just with the very darkest shadows that you don't want to go outlining it. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the next darkest value. I'm going to put some of that in here. Again, the more values you can get into your designs, the more realistic they will look. Now we're going to go right into the darkest value. We actually need a little bit more darker value in here because it is sitting down. There's always going to be more value of dark at the bottom of something that's sitting down like that. Smooth this in, move my paint where I want it to be. That's better. Okay, now let's go to that really, really dark value. I'm just kind of tapping it in that corner. Actually needs a little bit more water. Make it move. Get those corners nice and dark. This one can come out a little bit because we're going to do another darker value. Be a little darker over here. That sets that corner down. Went over here, so just pick that up as best I can. And while that's still wet, nice clean damp brush. And all I'm doing is kind of pushing it towards the grape. We do have to put a shadow in here for what it's sitting on too, so a lot of that's not going to show. So I guess if I was going to go over, that was the spot to do it in. I'm just going to pick up my Eradicator and get it moist. wiping off any paint that I've picked up onto my baby cloth. Otherwise, if you don't each time, you could be reapplying that paint that you just lifted. So you want to be sure and wipe it off. Again, I think some of this I can just do this. I think I'm going to just take my paper towel and do that too. Kind of removed some of the grapes so we can reapply that as well. But this is good for you to see how I clean it up if I need to. I'm always dipping it into clean water. Don't want to pick up any color that may be in your dirty water. Okay, we're going to leave it there and apply that base coat back in first. Should still be moist enough for me to do that. Yep. And now I'm going to go right into the first value. Boy, everything's drying out on me here. Shade. It does kind of outline the outside of that grape right there. And since this is somewhat dry already, I just cleaned out my brush and I'm softening this inside edge. And I do move my design to where it's going to be the easiest for me to get at, and you should as well. There we go. Not too bad. So we're going to leave that, but you know, I am going to add some water to that while it's still somewhat damp. Oh, did it with the... How did I manage that? I got two different brushes here. All right, water brush. There we go. So I want to get a darker shadow in there because this is one of the mid values grapes. Now by me adding the water, it started to push the paint back. It didn't blossom, which is a good thing, but it did start to push it back. So as I apply this, I'm going to just make sure it's going to all blend. There we go. Between the hair and the fuzz today, I'm having a hard time on this poor paper. That's better. And I'm still not getting the value in here that I want. That's better. Because you've got your highlight here, and opposite the highlight, you're always going to have a crescent of dark. So you want to make sure that's in there as well. it's getting better. You want it all to blend together. One more time. My board is, this was paper right from a pad rather than a block, which I usually paint on blocks. It's just easier to control, especially on camera. But I gotta use up this paper too, so I decided smaller designs, I can do this. Okay, I'm just smoothing it out the way I want it. It's almost there. Would like to get just a little bit darker value. Right in here. Bit. Soften this in a little bit. I think we're just about there. That's great. Okay. Do one more touch of color. Right in those corners. And I'm drying my brush off really well because I don't want to at this point add any more moisture. I just want to be able to smooth it in. Pretty much just like that. So I'm going to dry this and then we'll be back and we can do whichever other grape we would like. So I'll see you then.